This ain't no joke, this ain't no game. This that CSZ game. They said pull up, so I came. You better put some respect on their name. Yeah, 55 was goody. Kill the vibe, how could he? Big Cardinal on the hoodie. Let me break it down for you fully. This ain't your average broadcast. This ain't just no podcast. We know the show spread fake news. We just talking podcast. West, Joey, Sam, Sean, Dalton. And you know that boy hit you. He said he was a small fry. Tell him they better make him big. Yeah, you already know what we are.
You bet. 40. Here he goes. This place is gone.
If we set it instead of the stone, sit in the seat, set up your phone. You in the Cardinal Sports Zone.
Straight steal of home. The slide. The Cards win.
The magic is working tonight. How do you know when things are
The emotional journey to the championship.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Wyman, here alongside the fine people that help me put this on every week. They help me get this show right, get it tight. We are coming to you live. First off, I forgot to tell you, we're coming to you live from the Rally House Studios. My co-host for today. What's up, Paul? Speaking of one of our sponsors, Mossy Oak Properties, we appreciate you, Paul. What's up? Throw that up here real quick. Co-host today is our U of L football and women's basketball beat writer. It is the man, the myth, the legend, and the very based Sam Bazin. What's good, Sam?
What's up? What's up, everybody?
We good today?
Yep.
It was kind of iffy Friday night, but look, when you tune into Friday night, CSZ Friday Night Live, you never know what you're going to get. It's always going to be a good time, though. That's for sure. Up next, he's our recruiting guy. I say it every week. I can never run out of great things to say about this guy. He's one of the hardest young workers in the game, and just, you got to appreciate his hustle. If nothing else, it's our guy, Dalton Pence, the 6-star red chipper at that.
What's up, fellas? How are y'all?
What's up, Dalton, man? Trying to look, that heat, I think, got to a lot of us yesterday that were there or out in the heat. So, be honest with you, man, I got up to go get my hair cut this morning. I fell asleep in the barber chair. So that's how it affected me. Last but not least, he's one of the newest members of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast family. And, man, he's doing his thing. And we're very proud to have heard him this past weekend on the 24 hours plus coverage on 93.9. It's our man, Wes Keys.
What's going on? Hey, and bro, you're not alone on that one because I fell asleep at halftime at the game. That's also because I went straight to tailgate fresh off.
I was going to say, can you give them a little backstory? Because that just sounds like you're a lazy fan. Give them a little backstory. You worked all night long, went straight to help set up the Collision Course Crew tailgate. Shout out to our guy Garrett and them who are watching right now. And then so you were going off of what, 24 hours with no sleep?
Pretty much. Like I got off around 4:12 in the morning, and like I caught an Uber back home. Yoda, shout out to him by the way, hit me like right when I was getting off of work because he had just woke up. He had just coached the game last night. Got home around like 1 in the morning. Told me, "All right, bro, I'll hit you when I get up." I get home, get in the shower. I text him, "All right, bro, about to get dressed. Hit me when you on the way." He calls me 2 minutes later and says, "Outside."
So, I mean, and then not to mention, you had a show from 7 to 8:30 in the morning on the radio. So as you're setting up, you're doing the show as you're setting up. We're gonna make believe a little bit. So, I mean, you were multitasking. It is what it is. What a great day. What a great turnout. Let's go ahead and get this business out of the way first so we can go ahead and talk about the rest. Don't forget the Mossy Oak chat line is open. As you can see, I've been scrolling through the comments while we're talking. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or however, send your questions on social media. We'll answer them all to the best of our abilities. Check on the graphic here to see how you can follow the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast on social media or how to help support the podcast monetarily. Because, look, we're getting some new shout out to Glow Brands. We're getting some new gear. The podcast and the people that go out and cover in public. We're getting some shirt. We're getting some slick polos. We're getting some hats. Thinking about getting into the merch game again, even though that was quite the headache the last time. we've had a lot of inquiries. So maybe we'll just do these things where we ask once a month if y'all have anything y'all want, and we'll do it that way. Because keeping up with the merch store online, headache and a half. But got a lot of stuff going on there. So if you help support us monetarily, that's great, because it allows us to do more of these shows. Hit that thumbs up button while you're here on YouTube. Make sure you're watching on YouTube if you can. It's going to help us out a whole lot more. Shout out to CB. I see he's watching on Facebook. Appreciate him having me on. I was actually, I didn't even know our guy Corey Bolsmer record like about a month ago, or maybe it was a couple weeks ago. It felt like a month ago. Did a mega recording with a bunch of the Louisville media, and so I was actually on from 7 to 9 with him. Then we were on from 10:05 to 11 doing our live show, and then from midnight to 2 we did our spot for the 24 hours of coverage. So I didn't even know that was so. Shout out for him having us on. Shout out to JMO watching too on Facebook. Y'all switch over to YouTube if you can. I know y'all get tired of me saying that, but the sponsors don't want to see Facebook analytics. They want to see YouTube analytics. And as you can tell by the top of our screen, we don't have any issues getting sponsors. They love us. We love them. It is what it is. But we've got what the first question sponsors ask are, what are your YouTube stats? And we want to be able to show them that. So hop on over there if you can. We appreciate it. Smash that thumbs up button. Speaking of sponsors, Fitness Market, Four Pegs, Collision Course, Crew Tailgaters, Cherry Picking, Shoot 360, Mossy Oak, Planet Fitness, and Rally House. We appreciate their sponsorship, appreciate their help. Mossy Oak, speaking of sponsors, Mossy Oak says, great feeling to be at the game yesterday. And our guy Chad Brocky says, what a game. Love the way Shuck slings the ball. Isaac Brown needs that ball as much as possible. Let's get into it. If you all are familiar with the show, I kind of give my recap of the game, and then we all talk amongst ourselves. So that's what we're going to do again. I don't know how many other people realized this yesterday, but how fitting was it that a man named Ja'Cory scored the first touchdown of the game yesterday? Shout out to our guy Corrido. We know you were watching yesterday, and that just like sent chills down my spine. 63-0 victory. Things that I love, things we didn't show too much of. It was almost like an advanced Tecmo Bowl playbook. We didn't get too intricate. We didn't get too tricky. We didn't get too complex. We didn't need to. Shuck proved to be everything that we wanted. 18-24, 232 yards, 4 touchdowns, 571 yards total offense, no turnovers. Multiple first-time Cardinals scored yesterday. Redmond, Shuck, Brooks, Isaac Brown, Duke Watson, Jaden Thompson, Keywan Brown, and Brock Travelstead as the only returners to score. And shout out to Jaden. I think he had 2 touchdowns yesterday. I like the fact to see that some of the things from the past came back. Running back seems to be a thing this year. Isaac Brown, 5 for 120, 5 rushes, 123 yards, a touchdown. Duke Watson, true freshman, I believe, 6 rushes, 86 yards, a touchdown. Keywan Brown, 9 rushes, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Got to see the quarterback get in and play for them, got at least 1 series. Me being a tight end, love seeing the tight end being targeted and utilized more. On the defensive side, the defense swarmed 106 total yards allowed, 2 turnovers forced, the interception by. If you told me that we're going to have a pick yesterday, the last person on my mind would have been TJ Capers. Not because he's not good, but because we have so many great DBs, I would have thought one of them would have picked them off. We had a scoop and score, 7 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. No telling how many 3-and-outs. I didn't record that yesterday. Allowed 1.8 yards per play, second in the nation, only to Missouri, who was at 1.7 yards per play. That scoop and score was by hometown kid Ramon Purrier. 2 punt blocks yesterday. And I don't know how many of you all watch football like I do, being a former player. And I'm not saying that makes me better than everybody else. I'm just saying I see things. Shout out to Travis Egan yesterday, the key guy on both. He was the sole reason for the first punt block. He blew up the middle. Me and Bullet East supporter Steve Remmers was talking about this morning. and Travis also helped blow up the middle on the second punt block. But me and Steve were talking before the show today, and Travis is going to be like, a lot of people when they saw him on the roster were like, well, he's probably going to be 5th or 6th on the depth chart. Like, is he going to get into play? But this is a guy who I've been told went to the coaching staff and was like, just get me on the field somewhere. I don't care. It is what I want to play football. And shout out to him, man. What a great game yesterday. It didn't take very long to figure out that they weren't going to do very well against us after they threw at Quincy 2 of the first 3 plays of the game. Loved how they moved. Another thing that I noticed, I don't know if a lot of other people noticed, but on 3rd down, they moved Ashton Gelati around to allow us to be a little bit more aggressive on 3rd down. Sam, you are the football beat writer. I'm going to scroll through some of these comments while you go, but what were some of the things that you noticed? What were some of the things you liked? Some of the things that you didn't like? Again, keep in mind, didn't show a whole lot of our offensive playbook because at the end of the day, we were playing PU or UP, whatever you want to call it. I don't expect to see a whole lot more than next week out of Jacksonville State, but go ahead and give us your thoughts.
Well, defensively, I love just about everything they did. Like you said earlier, they moved Ashton around on the defensive line. I think he took a few snaps on 3rd downs as a defensive tackle. And you had Jernigan on the edge. Sometimes you had Purrier on the edge. So I love the fact that they're moving him around like the great defensive linemen do in the NFL. They move them around just to find that mismatch on the interior line. So that was a good thing to see. That was great to see. I love to see how they used and they kind of mimic and what they can possibly do in the future with the safety McDonald. He had 2 sacks yesterday. So now with him having 2 sacks, and he got another couple pressures that kind of led to sacks or that he just missed on. So I look forward to them using him kind of as a decoy in a way to where they could put him on the line of scrimmage and make people think that he's coming as a blitzer and then bring the blitz from someplace else and he drops into coverage. So that's a possibility in the future. The linebackers were really great. What surprised me was Antonio Watts starting over Ben Perry. I did not see that coming. I didn't know how many other people did see that coming as well. But he played really well. He played really smart, really fast, and there wasn't a drop off when Ben Perry came in the game. So the linebackers are really impressive. And speaking about the linebackers, the only interception we had for the game came from our freshman linebacker. And what impressed me about that play was he was smart about it. He kept his eyes on the quarterback. He knew where the receiver was because they really didn't have time to try to throw anything deep. So he knew it was going to be short. So he was able to keep his eyes on the quarterback and kind of feel where the receiver was en route to getting that pick. So I love that part about him. The scoop and score, always good to see the big guys get in there, get into the end zone because they work so hard. They take up so many blocks. They take all the hits and things like that and hardly ever get any of the credit unless they make a tackle for loss or a sack or strip sack, things like that. And on
14,
the defense,
Sam, 14 tackles for losses. That's incredible.
Yes, very. Even regardless of who you're playing, 14 is a lot. They could have had a few more. They just kind of missed on the tackles. And I saw some of the running backs barely got back to the line of scrimmage so that they didn't get the tackle for loss. So I expect to see some similar numbers next week. And then we go to the defensive backfield. They were great. That's all you. They wasn't tested as much because the defensive line didn't allow it. So it was great to see MJ Griffin back in there. He played well, made a couple of tackles, got in there with a couple plays. You see how great. What I was shocked by, they came out and almost immediately tested Quincy Riley.
That's what I said. 2 out of the first 3 throws they throw right at Quinn. And before I forget, you mentioned that Tamarian McDonald had 2 sacks. He had 3 tackles yesterday. That third one was almost a sack, but the quarterback fell forward as he was tackling him. So it's always great when your backfield is in there getting sacks and being aggressive like that. But I wanted to go ahead and I'm sorry, Sam, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just didn't want to forget to give him his kudos on that because it was almost 3 tackles, 3 sacks. Before I let you finish up, JMO, who got absolutely destroyed at OVW Thursday night, so I'm not really sure how he's able to type today, but it says the Cards checked a lot of the boxes yesterday. Yes, they should have, but it's a great way to start the season. Not a lot of teams got to start the season they wanted. There were some teams yesterday that started 0-1 that wanted to start out 1-0. So sometimes it's like, well, yeah, it was Austin Peay, but we've had a lot of those games in the past. We talked about, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. I won't get too much into it, but this was what got us Friday night. We're like, well, we want to say it's going to be this, but we've had too many of these games in the past that's kind of let us down, and we not really sure about it. This was everything it should have been and everything we thought it was going to be. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Sam.
So I would say the defensive backs did great. They weren't tested as much because the defensive line didn't allow it. The linebackers were solid as well. But I would say this. I spoke briefly to Pops Griffin after the game, and he said something to me, and I give him credit. This is what we were supposed to do. Because I told him I thought it would have been a 45-10 kind of game, things like that. And he's like, no. When you have great teams, or you expect to do this. When you look at in the years past, when the Alabama and the Georgias played inferior teams, they came out and they dominated just like what Louisville did. So when you have a team that you think is great, like I think the Louisville team is, 45-10 would not have cut it. It needed to be 62-0, 62-3. So. And he was right, and I was wrong about the 45-10. I won't make that mistake next week. But yeah, it was. I loved just about everything I saw yesterday from the defense.
Shout out to, we're going to give some more love to our Facebook viewers, which again, please switch over to YouTube if you can. It helps us out a little bit more. Russell Deakins, Mike Puckett, Benjamin Hemp, Brandon Leffler. We appreciate you all tuning in. Dalton, what about I know after I go and then Sam goes, it kind of puts you in a precarious position because we probably have used all the points up. But if that's why I put you in the third slot, because I know you can back clean up. What were some of your views and things that you saw that maybe just give us your opinion of the game yesterday?
Well, in a game like that, when you're favored to win by anywhere from 35 to 40 points, you don't stand much to gain, but everything to lose. And it's unfortunately that is the case, but that's just the way it is, regardless of the school. You handle business the way you were supposed to. So there is significance in putting up a W in the win and loss column. But at the end of the day, it's more so, doing what you need to do and not giving any bad optics. I know optics in the first week don't really mean much, but when you're favored to beat a team by 40 points, whether it's fair or not fair, you're expected to completely dominate on all cylinders. And Louisville did that. So I'm satisfied with the performance because in all 3 facets of the game, they did what they needed to do, and that's fantastic. I won't look too much into it because this is a game you were supposed to win by a very good margin. Taking away the small victories of Shuck looking good, the running backs, the young running backs looking solid, the defense pitching a shutout, then the special teams making an impact on the game. So overall, more or less, it's just a matter of just handling business. That's the mantra that I keep coming back to. You have not much to gain and everything to lose in a situation like this. And thankfully, since really my lifetime, outside of let me say post 2012, Louisville doesn't really struggle much with FCS and mid-major FBS teams like some other programs do. So that is definitely a blessing and it's something that eliminates a lot of headaches. So satisfied and hoping we can sort of replicate some of that performance next week.
One thing that hadn't been mentioned yet, which I feel like we'd be grossly just not doing our job if we didn't say this. One of the biggest differences I saw yesterday was the fact, and this is listen, I will not sit on here and allow anybody to slander Jack Plummer. Guy become one of only a handful of quarterbacks in Louisville history to lead us to 10 wins. With that being said, the one thing that he was missing from his arsenal was the deep ball and the ability to put it right where only his receivers could catch it. Shuck was like, you know, they'd have those memes where they show a picture of somebody that had the little blue upgrade button, and then they put, so it was almost like Plummer, upgrade, Shuck. Shuck did like the touchdown to Redmond, the touchdown to Thompson. I mean, I go on and on and on. There were a couple of plays where it looked like he overthrew the receivers, but if you go back and watch the play, the only play he had was that receiver, and that receiver was covered. So yeah, you have to have the IQ to be able to overthrow the receiver or to throw it away, things like that. So thoughts on Shuck, Dalton? I'll let you go ahead and expand on him a little bit. How did you feel like he did yesterday for his first game? Like I said, 18, I think it was, 18 of 24? Was that his stat line? 18 of 24, 232 yards, 4 touchdowns. How did you come away feeling about Shuck?
Yeah, I thought it was an incredible debut. Of course, competition level considered. Can't take too much away from it in the grand scheme, but first performance as a Cardinal, he looked comfortable. He made some really good decisions. I thought he just took what the defense gave him, didn't try to take too much risk. Had a couple moments of brilliance, like you said, down the sideline to Jaden Thompson, the ball in the end zone to Mark Redmond. I would venture into saying maybe 10 quarterbacks in college football can make that current throw. I mean, it was fantastic. So you saw the upside, made some throws on the run, threw the ball out of bounds when he needed to, which was an issue last year. You know, the decision-making was stout. It was quick. And it just felt like, there weren't any snags in the line. Like, it felt like the offense was free-flowing and cohesive. And then I think the wide receivers were creating that separation. That's a completely different story. But I think you're going to see Tyler Shuck reach a new level when Colin Lacey comes back. But as it relates to the first performance, not really much more you could ask from him in one half of play.
Absolutely. Before I go to Wes, I'm going to ask him about the running back. I thought this was really funny. Anthony Eason, huck it, shuck it, football. That's got to be the motto for the season. Wes, we talked about the running backs by committee. It almost was like the people that had been here for a while, and maybe that was by design. Maybe Chaney and Mo Turner in the squad were supposed to look a bit more reserved, and maybe we just actually were pleasantly surprised. But the youngins outdid the ones the day one, or the old heads, if you will, yesterday. Do you think that was by design, or do you just think that we got some really good running, or maybe a combination of both?
I think it's honestly a combination of both. I mean, it wasn't a Tyler Perry film, but we got to meet the Browns yesterday.
Gosh dang it.
And like
Sean's not here, so I guess somebody has to take up the pun slack.
I was expecting that from
Wes,
Sean.
how long were you waiting on that? At
Right.
what time last night did you cook that up and think, oh, I've got to write this down because I'm going to forget it?
Oh, I didn't even write it down. It's been in the back of my mind since yesterday. But
What time? Over under 12 hours. Well, yeah, over under 12 hours.
Under.
Okay.
No shame. Absolutely no shame.
Hey, nah, man, but seriously, just seeing them get after it yesterday was amazing. Isaac Brown is going to be, like some people have said, he's not going to be the starter right away, but I could see by midseason him being the starter. And Keywan Brown, he runs strong, he runs fast, he runs physical. He's amazing. Duke Watson at the end was crazy too. Like, we're really good. A lot of people were worried about that position because we lost 2 guys to the league. But all in all, we're going to be fine. We're going to be perfectly fine. Better than fine, actually. When you have 4 guys who can just come in and pick it up like that, this team, I like that stable of running backs a lot. We're going to be good at running back for next probably 4+ years.
Well, hopefully it's longer. I know what you mean. Hopefully it's longer than that. But here's what I want to make sure that our fan base, look, I know we like to get excited. I know we like to go from, I'm not really sure how this team's going to be, beating them 63-0 and being like, oh man, we're going to be undefeated now. We're we're going to hold everybody to negative yards, this and that. Here's why, and I'm going to, and you all can hop on me and say whatever you want to do. That's fine. That's what I'm here for, is for you all to be able to vent. After the first quarter, it was 10-0, and I was not impressed at all. If I was looking for flash, but me being the football mind that I am, I'm like, all right, they're not showing their whole play. I don't know yet. Master Yoda made a comment. We looked better as a team yesterday than last year's team. I can't make that comment yet because it's been one game, small sample size. We really only seen the full team for one half, if that. Because I don't remember who, maybe it was Sean, maybe it was Sam in the group chat, was talking about we already had our second team defense in the second quarter. It goes to show you how deep we are. So I'm not ready to make a comment as bold as we're better than last year's team. But what I will say is the defense did look hungrier. They looked more aggressive. The quarterback placement of the ball was a lot better. Do I feel better now than I felt last week after seeing all the teams play once? I do, because teams like Notre Dame don't look as strong as I thought they were going to be. Even a team, and this is something that I told everybody after the show Friday. I was like, look, Georgia Tech beat Notre Dame last week.
Florida State.
Florida State, thank you. Beat Florida State last week. Are they going to dominate the team they play next, or are they going to come back to earth a little bit? And I think that we saw the real Georgia Tech yesterday versus Georgia State. I know that Dalton's been high on them, but I've not been, and I still continue to feel like we're going to handle them. We're going to beat them pretty handedly in game 3. But yeah, I do feel better. But in the same breath, I do not know yet. I don't think we will know how great this team is as far as because let's not get it twisted, man. Jack Plummer had us looking. We went to a ranked NC State. We beat top 10 Notre Dame at home. That's why I hate Plummer gets so much crap. I get it. I do. Because we want to see that 300 yards passing game every day or every week. We want to put up 40-something points or nothing. But last year, what really hurt us, and this is going to be another unpopular view, and it's fine. It was, for a majority of the games, it was our defense. Our offense played for, even the Miami game, we put up 39 points, allowed 35. That wasn't a Jack Plummer problem. And I guess I sound like a Jack Plummer fan right now, and I'm not trying to be like his advocate or anything, but he took a lot of unnecessary crap and criticism that I didn't feel like he deserved. So let's go ahead.
You could make the case sometimes that we won in spite of, because you could tell sometimes going into game. Well, after the first 2 or 3 series, you could tell that Coach Brom and both Coach Broms kind of tinkered and tailored their offense because of what they was getting, what they were seeing from Jack. So they kind of sheltered him and covered him up a lot last year based on what they saw early. And then once he started to get in his rhythm, they started to let him go a little bit. But I mean, I'd say the good thing about this game is it was game 1. So now Coach Broms, they have a whole week to go ahead and show Tyler some of the plays in the on film. Hey, you missed this guy, or hey, this was the wrong read, or they disguised it this way. So now he can only get better throughout the week. Now that they have game film on him and they can show him things. So that, to me, that's the great part about this game being the way it was, and the fact that it's only week 1.
Honestly, I say the difference
Absolutely
is kind of like, to quote Cam Newton, the difference between game manager and game changer. Shuck is a game changer.
That's true. Wes, or for the panel, if you all can remember, I'll put you on a little trivia. I guess it's up for opinion. But what did Virginia show the rest of our schedule in that game last year?
I remember you said that if you force Plummer to pretty much throw the ball, that it could put us in harm's way. Like, that's how you beat us, by forcing him to throw the ball. If you force Shuck to throw the ball, dude is a magician. That throw to Redmond was absolutely insane.
The Jack Plummer experience was an interesting one because nobody really agrees on. There's like completely polarizingly different views of the way things went. Like there is a camp that says, well, he led us to 10 wins. He had to be really good. And then there's somebody's like, well, he had no part in getting to 10 wins. And again, the truth is always in the middle. Yes, I think that he raised your floor. He gave you what you knew you were going to get. He was a glorified game manager. And I don't use that term as disrespect. I use it in the sense of he's going to give you what he's going to give you, and he's going to stabilize things. But in terms of what you said, Wes, he didn't really change many games. Most of the games that were won big offensively, a lot were due to running the football. When Jaws went down midway through the season and was hampered by injury, same with Thrash, you had to force Jack Plummer to rise to the occasion. Sometimes he did so, sort of like the Miami game. And then other times, Kentucky, Florida State, USC, really not so much. So, but I do agree with Jeremy. The end of the season, the defense was just not getting home. The pass rush wasn't really getting there, and the coverage was susceptible. So overall, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm just ready to turn the page on it because I think we all know Tyler Shuck's a better quarterback.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But there is more risk with Tyler Shuck simply due to the whole injury process. He has to stay healthy for at least 11 more games. So
yeah,
I don't disagree with that at all. What I do want to point out, and we will, like you said, it's time to turn the page. And I really never realized I was such a Jack Plummer flag bearer, but Jack Plummer didn't give up 34 to Georgia Tech. He didn't give up 28 to Boston College. He didn't give up 20 to Notre Dame, 38 to Pittsburgh, 24 to Virginia, or 31 to Miami, 38 to Kentucky, or 42 to USC. So, I mean, somebody's got at some point, I mean, you can say that he wasn't a wower because he wasn't a wower, but he was. If you were to grade him on a traditional grade scale, it would be a C+. He needs work.
Above average.
C plus is fair. It's a grade you're like, well, all right, but hey, we're on to the next grade though.
Absolutely, and maybe you could argue B- since he got us to the 10 wins. The defense is what we should have had more than 10 wins, but like we spoke on, the defense is the reason why it didn't. We didn't struggle for offense in any of the last half of the season, so
I mean,
it is.
Well, Florida State, but I mean,
Florida State.
That Florida State defense was good, but to give the defense a little credit though, they're the reason we won the NC State game.
Yeah. Oh, yes. For sure.
The shutout against Duke. I mean, I know the offense did what they're supposed to do, but the offense was, dare I say, a bit pedestrian because Duke. I mean, that was a weird weather game. Like the weather was just not good. It was really nasty, a lot of rain, cold, but the defense shut them out. Virginia Tech, like that was a good offensive game, but I think we held them to like 7 points or something, 3 points. Regardless, Jeremy, I think the point you're trying to make, and if I'm mistaking this, please correct me.
Sure.
Jack Plummer was not like the sole reason Louisville struggled last year. Like the
Correct.
struggles are so complicated because it's football. You can't really point them at one person.
And a lot of people I think that was my thing. A lot of people like to blame it solely on him.
Right.
I just try to provide some thoughts and stuff to where you can see, okay, maybe it wasn't.
Because you had games where the wide receivers wasn't great separation, so he couldn't throw the ball. We just didn't have the depth, or I don't want to say talent, but we didn't have the tools at tight end that Jeff Brom likes to use. And then even in the running back room, as great as those running backs were all season, some of the fumbles that they had, it kind of cost Louisville. More specifically.
So Jack didn't fumble those balls. The running back,
so it can go straight across the board.
Sure, absolutely. Our guy Nathan here says, I think it's fair to take away that this is the most defensive depth we've had in quite a while.
Yes.
Absolutely. Babu says, I said it last night, UPS needs to give an NIL deal ASAP. What has Brown and Brown done for you? Bubba Ray says, hi. Master Yoda says, Clarkson didn't look good in his 2 series.
He did.
And I know it sounds like I'm always taking up for everybody. And I'm okay. Let me be that guy. I'm Mr. Sunshine and Rainbows and Skittles and stuff. But I think Clarkson's just not the same kind of quarterback that the other ones are in there. He's more mobile. He's quicker. So the O-line can't adjust as well, because that's the first thing somebody said during the game yesterday. The O-line looked horrible during Clarkson's series. Well, he's a little bit faster than the other quarterbacks. Maybe he puts them out of place. Something they got to work on. Yoda says Plummer held on to the ball. Tyler Shuck, let's go. Okay. Oh, that was that touchdown was one of the greatest touchdowns. It reminded me of the Wake Forest one we had a couple years back, where we kind of pushed the dudes down the field like 30 yards and scored. That touchdown was amazing.
The Brown.
Yeah. Bubba said he said 20 minutes ago what I said or 6 minutes ago what I just said now. Clarkson didn't get any help from the O-line at all. The rest with the first string might be different. It's no slight on Plummer. Shuck just has a better arm. I can agree with that. I'm okay with that.
Probably more confident too.
Yeah, and that's why he said it seems to have the confidence to use it.
Timing, confidence, and decisiveness.
Let's see. Can't wait to see how we do versus a tougher opponent, says Wes Brocky. Babu says if you watch Clarkson throw in motion, it's just not smooth and kind of. Yeah. I'm literally going to gonna try to, especially as a former offensive lineman, I know how difficult it is to adjust to different styles. Oh, okay. Well, that's the way. I didn't read it wrong. You typed it wrong. Yoda says, do y'all realize the last 2 seasons Jeff Brown led teams played in conference title games? Absolutely, it's dope. So yeah, absolutely. That is man, y'all got some good points today. As always, we appreciate it. Let us get into our sponsor talk as we wait for Dalton to come back from his sabbatical. Shoot 360, a premier state-of-the-art basketball training facility and highly skilled trainers. Peyton Siva is one of the owners. Please give them a call at 515-6556. Sign up. Great value all around. Somebody has popped out and back in. Oh, it's Sam. Okay. And now I have to fix all the screens. Thanks, Sam. Just kidding. Call 515-6556. Great value all around. And if you go to shoot360.com, you can pre-register for a free workout. Cherry Picking, a hoops themed cold pressed juice and smoothie bar inspiring you to take what's good. Conveniently located at 828 East Main Street behind the local seltzery. Tell them CSZ sent you for 15% off your total order. Our good friends Chris and Sarah out at Fitness Market, give them a call. Their phone number, I always forget to put it on the shot sheet. I'm going to do it this time because I'm tired of making this same rookie mistake every single time. I'm a 5th round draft pick. I'm not a rookie. First, I said 5th. God dang. 502-882-2994. That is 502-882-2694. I don't even know my own numbers. I put it on the screen this time, so we're good. Give them a call. They have fully furnished my basement with workout equipment. We call it Fitness Market South now. It is amazing. It's high quality. I've never had any issues. If you're wanting to get into the workout game, if you're wanting to get some exercise equipment, make sure you contact Fitness Market. Once again, that is 502-882, as I'm typing it onto the screen to never forget it again, 2694. That is Fitness Market, and I almost put the wrong number on the screen, so it is what it is. Our friend Chris Williams out at Four Pegs. Now, I need to know something first before I give him his pitch. It's at 1053 Goss Avenue. Actually, I'm going to give the pitch, then I'm going to ask the question. They got Wings Day special, $20 all you can eat jumbo smoked wings, $1.25 per wing. If you don't want to do the all you can eat all day long on Wednesdays, come and get the best wings in town for the best deal in town. Thursdays, they have the Ribs Days. Come and get the best ribs in the Ville for $25 all you can eat, or $2 a bone all day long. Wes, you finally went in to Four Pegs and grabbed something to eat before you went to work the other day. What was it that you grabbed?
The brisket, grilled cheese, and some mac and cheese. And to kill two birds with one stone, Bubba, yes, I went to sleep for like 3 hours after I got home. I immediately crashed out. But after I woke up, I went back to 4 pegs again last night.
Oh, what'd you get last night?
Same thing.
Same thing. Fire. Remember I told y'all a couple weeks ago the brisket grilled cheese was on point and those dipping fries and the mac. They got that white cheddar mac and cheese and they shave big pieces of Parmesan on top of it.
Do we have a visitor?
Huh?
Do you have a visitor?
Does who have a visitor?
Yeah, he's causing a little ruckus.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I was.
Listen, y'all got me Tyler shook over here.
You were all shook up.
Yeah, for sure. So that's 4 Peg, 1053 Goss Avenue. Tell them that tell all of our people we sent you. The Collision Course Crew tailgate. It's back. It's time. Behind the El Nepal, 2745 Crittenden Drive. Shout out to our friends Garrett, Bill, Rhino, Craig, Kevin, and the crew, and Carito, because he's always going to live at that. He's always going to be there in spirit at that tailgate. Shout out to our guy Rick Cooper, Glow Brands, Planet Fitness, going to have us looking sharp at the games. Sam is the only one that has got his gear yet. Did you wear one of your new polos yesterday?
I did. I wore the white one yesterday.
Isn't it? The white one's clean, ain't it?
It is.
The red one's nice, but the white one's clean. I can't wait for you to see the black one, man.
The red one is similar to the red one that I have now.
Right.
It's the black and red is flipped.
It feels. My only thing is I like these new polos. The feel of them are a little bit better than the old ones. The old ones felt a little scratchy. These feel like they're giving you a nice hug. Anyway, shout out to our friends Rally House. Rally House, the leading sponsor of the show. Lisa, D, Rico, Amanda, and the crew. Get out to the Rally House at Jefferson Mall. Support them. They are Rally House local brands. They also sell. So the great thing about Rally House is I explained to you all before. They're like the JD Becker, the new JD Becker. No disrespect to JD Becker. But they also sell local stuff there too. So if you are a U of L entrepreneur that wants to get your stuff in stores, Rally House will sell those for you. Just get in touch with me. I'll get you in touch with Lisa and Amanda, and we can get you set up to where you can make money at their stores selling your U of L. If you have a license for it, your U of L memorabilia and stuff and goods. So it's a great place, a great business partnership you can get into, Rally House. And last but not least, Mossy Oak. If you're in the market to buy or sell farms, land, recreational, or residential areas in the state of Kentucky, let Paul or one of his guys, his team of professionals at Mossy Oak and Hart Realty help you with your buying and selling needs. Call Paul at 270-537-4422 or email him at pthomas@mossyoakproperties.com. Mossy Oak, we know land. All right. I have to he told me, get hyped for the Mossy Oak. So I am. Let's go ahead and get a couple of these comments in, and then we're going to head to our recruiting expert for a few questions that we have had DM to me. Easton says, Chuck gets that ball out there quick on the boundary throws. Yoda says, smash the like button. I agree with that. The Ransdale family says, hey, y'all, God bless. Chad Brocky says, I agree with you on Clarkson. Austin Peay got more pressure on him than the others because of the O-line. I like the kid, but I can see Deuce Adams passing him. Moms, Kelly in the building. What's up? We've been talking. Okay, we got our fifth member of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast crew that was in the camera there. That's what you were talking about. I was doing my reads. I couldn't see who you were talking about. Yeah. We were talking about how stupid Austin Peay was yesterday throwing at your son the first 2 plays of the game, and how we could tell early that it wasn't going to be a good day for them.
And I want to throw in, if they get one of those blocks right next time.
Yeah. He was gone. Yeah, he was.
He was going to house it if they got one more block.
Absolutely. Fabian says, I like what I saw yesterday, but I don't understand the disrespect from ACC media being picked 5th or 6th.
Fabian, they always do that.
Master Yoda says, DA, Deuce Adams going to be the guy. Garrett says, good looking pup, Dalton. I agree. Hey, Dalton, is your pup's name? Oh, did you name your pup Maverick for Mr. Rowan? That wouldn't shock me. I don't know the answer to this, but that's absolutely.
No, that's not the name of the dog.
What is the puppy's
to
name?
The cause.
You should have been. That's something that I would not put past you.
I don't know whether I should take that as a compliment.
I think it is. No. You are the master of petty sometimes. So I could, in a good way. So I absolutely, that would not.
I am.
when he said that the pup's name was Maverick, I believed it. What is the puppy's name?
It's Astro.
Astro. Oh, well, again,
Oh, okay. Well,
makes sense too.
yeah, that does. That does.
Fabian says, I would like to see Clarkson behind the first team O-line. I agree. Our guy, Terry. What's up, my guys? What's up, brother? Appreciate you. All right, let's get to the. So we also had a couple of visits yesterday. Where is the. Okay, we had a couple of visits yesterday during the basketball. We had a couple of basketball visitors. We had some football visitors. I think. Well, Dalton's going to. I guess what I'm trying to say is Dalton's going to catch us up on the visitors that we've had on campus this weekend, and then we had some specific questions from the audience that were DM'd to me. So kind of give us a recap of what you heard on the visitors for both sports.
Well, from a basketball standpoint, JJ Mandequit, Trey Singleton, both on official visits. JJ got in late on, I think it was either late on Thursday or late on Friday, regardless. Still waiting to hear how those visits went. It feels like Louisville is still in contention for certain, but JJ has made it clear he wants to take all of his official visits. So any fruits that will be coming from that recruiting visit seem to be down the road. Hopefully something that he will be making an additional visit. Trey Singleton has always felt like a situation where if Louisville wants to prioritize him, I think he's a Cardinal. The Jeffersonville forward that's sort of risen up the rankings. I think he's anywhere from top probably 50 to 100 in the rankings when it's all said and done. I think it's a situation that if Louisville truly prioritizes him, I ultimately think he's a Cardinal. So unfortunately, we're just sort of at the mercy of having to wait and see. In terms of football visits, I know that there was a big-time tight end from the 2026 class on campus for an unofficial. But outside of that, I hadn't heard that there were any big-time visits. But don't forget, right now, Louisville has almost filled up the high school class to the number that they wanted. This is going to be a program that, at least for the near future, is probably going to utilize the portal more continually over the next couple cycles. So you're not going to see a 25-man recruiting class very often. So ultimately, I don't know. I mean, I think that 2025 recruiting is just going to kind of slow down just because we're pretty much at the number that we want it to be.
Absolutely. Great insight as always by Dalton. Dalton, we had a couple of viewer questions that have been DM'd to me. By the way, you all can put those in the chat here. It's okay. We're not going to bite. Wes might, but the rest of us were pretty good about not doing that. Mikael Brown, what's your intel been telling you about Mikael Brown and where we stand with him right now?
We stand in a very good spot. It seems like all signs now. Shoe game doesn't play as big of a factor as it used to, but it feels like for an Adidas guy, and seemingly I think ultimately Darren Peterson's going to go to Kansas, another Adidas school. I could see Louisville being that Adidas affiliate for Mikael Brown. I think Louisville sits in a very good spot. I know that he just scheduled that visit down the road at the end of this month. Now, being in a good spot and being the leader in the recruitment are two totally different entities, so know the difference in those. But it's all going to be a matter of getting him onto campus. That is the main focus with these guys that Louisville's being included in list cuts with, and everything else is you have to get them on campus for an official visit, and that's going to help out your cause. So ultimately, Louisville's in about as good of a spot as you could hope for Mikael Brown Jr.
Garrett says, shout out to the crowd yesterday. It was hot, not Tennessee Western game hot, but still ridiculous hot. Garrett, I'm kind of mad at you because I thought you were going to bring me some of those Nashville chicken sliders over to the crib with no pickles, extra ranch and cheese, and you didn't. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. What were you going to say, Wes? They were good?
Hey, good seeing Gary yesterday at the tailgate too. But yeah, those chicken sliders I was just about to bring those up.
Everything he does is fire, man. Listen, if Garrett ever wanted to go into a profession to where he could, like, you could hire him for parties or cookouts, like I just want to call Garrett and be like, hey man, next Saturday, come to the crib. I've got my Blackstone and my smoker out back, fixes something good, and he needs to be for hire, I guess is my point. Babu wants to know, is it a done deal that men's basketball is going from 13 to 15 scholarships, or is it just something they're talking about? Dalton?
I thought it was a done deal.
Okay.
National recruiting heads are talking like it's a done deal, so I would operate under that assumption.
All right. Bubba said the sliders were fire. Yoda said the sliders were fire. Listen, something else that's fire is that the rumblings that we're hearing from from both mine and Dalton's sources is that it sounds like we are creating the world's biggest bag for hometown player Tyran Stokes. Dalton, what have you kind of heard about the Stokes recruitment? Is it similar to what the Brinks truck theory?
I mean, there are some people out there that aren't really a fan of paying one player a boatload of money in the name of cohesive roster construction. And I can't disagree with that.
Right.
But if you want a player of this caliber, it's a blank check. It truthfully is. And this is a recruitment that Stokes has been very vocal that he really hasn't taken all that seriously up until recently. I mean, he's just now a rising junior, right? Mm-hmm. So he's really just kind of getting into the recruiting side of things. So your blue blood level programs are right there. Carolina, Kentucky, Duke, UCLA, you name it. Louisville apparently has been seemingly putting on the full court press ever since Pat Kelsey has taken over. So that's nice. He's got the official visit scheduled for Louisville Live here in about a month. Very interested to see how that goes. But yeah, it feels like the forces in Louisville are understanding the key. Like, yes, a 5-star, like you look at the guys that Louisville's missed out on because of, well, they've sort of set the NIL number here. The actual valuation among other schools is here, and Louisville's just not comfortable with going to that number. It feels like if Louisville loses the Tyran Stokes sweepstakes, I just have a hard time believing it's going to be about due to NIL funds. I think it would have to be sort of whatever Tyran wants, but I guarantee it won't be about money.
Wes?
Honestly, I was going to add in on that. I'm not the biggest fan of it either, but at the same time, like Dalton said, this is when you got to win. The number one player, and he's from here, him going anywhere else would be terrible. And then honestly, hearing about the way the 502 Circle is creating all these different avenues and just expanding with NIL, the fact that we saw an article a few weeks ago where they said we had 20 million in the fund, once Pat Kelsey starts winning, that number's going to double. So we'll have the money. Pay the kid.
Can I say one thing before we kind of get moving on?
Sure.
I mentioned this in length on my show because when you have to do 19 shows in August and there's only so much football to talk about, you got to get creative. Thankfully, a lot of basketball recruiting talk. Shout out to PK. The segment I did on Tyran, there was a specific point that I made, and I want to sort of get your all's thoughts on it. I said it was as important on the court as it is off the court from an optics level, because if you're sitting here as a Louisville fan and you're pitching the idea that the Cardinals program is at the caliber of being a blue blood level program, how many blue blood level programs would there be that a player, the number one player in the class, is from either Durham or Chapel Hill or Lexington or Lawrence or whatever? What's the percentage of those schools missing out on that recruit?
Low.
Man.
Extremely low.
If you're a blue blood,
0.
You have to prove it here. And we all know the history behind this program. The reality is this perception needs a jolt. The national narrative has to get kick-started. This is the way to do it. Winning games, of course, but from a recruiting aspect, if you want to be back, if you want to say, have the Michael Jordan memo saying, I'm back, that's the way to do it.
Does NIL kind of change that a little bit?
I don't think so.
Because before we didn't have
I think it
NIL, we didn't have it.
more.
So we had those kids usually stuck within in that area. They went to their hometown schools. But now that there's NIL, do you think it might lead to more of a bidding war to where those hometown kids don't necessarily stay at home anymore? They go towards the highest bidder?
I think it's
legal
more
bit
beneficial than detrimental. I think it helps more than it hurts.
Well, don't forget, I mean, Shoe Game had a monopoly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Nike schools.
Yes.
I mean, you look back to 2015, right before NIL started. Nike grassroots players, they got funneled to Nike schools. So if Tyron Stokes, who no longer lives in the city, hasn't for a while, he hasn't played 1 minute of high school ball as a resident of Kentucky. If he's on the Nike circuit, and this is 2015, you might as well not even recruit him.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And
NIL completely changed the game. Jeremy said it is. I think it's way more helpful than it is detrimental.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, like we talked about, like Dalton talked about in his video, these only come along so often, like Rondo, D'Angelo Russell, like having guys from the city that are that high up and missing on them. We can't let that happen. We haven't had number one player in the country since what? Griff? That's the last time.
No, Samarlo Samuels was the number one player in the country.
No. He meant Louisville.
Oh, Louisville homegrown. I'm sorry.
It's been 40 years.
It's probably been 40 years since there's been a
more
number
than
one
that.
player
I mean,
in the country.
The 70s is more like 50 years.
Because I think Griff was number one when he came out.
Okay. I mean, like Dalton, I'm in one of those minorities. Like, hey, I do want the kid to come here. I do. I just don't know how much I'm willing to pay for one particular kid to come here.
And that's a great question. So we'll ask that question next, and we'll go to you last because we know how old man grumpy you like to be all the time, Sam. Let's just say, Wes, you're in charge of the bag. How much are you willing to pay? What's the number? Better question. What's the number that you're not willing to go to get Tyron Stokes?
Probably like 10 million.
10 million?
Like, honestly, because
Jesus.
He's gonna get, like, if we're talking about straight up from the 502 collect, like 502
Hey, yo.
like, bro, he's gonna get overall probably
like we told that kid no when he asked for $2 million.
So this is the problem right here. Like,
is the very height.
This is the problem.
A young kid of his caliber, bro, it's a lot. But no,
You have to look at precedent, and
all this is subjective.
I know that the driving price in NIL money for basketball, it's going up and up and up and up and up. But you have to almost compare it. I mean, Cooper Flagg isn't even getting that money.
It was just medical. I was just saying, like,
I mean, it's just, and don't forget, at some point, I don't know when this is going to happen. At some point, it always happens. What comes up must always come down. The market will recorrect itself one way or the other to the point to where that market will dry up. I think that if you look based upon what the rumored number was for Jaden Quaintance, I think the ballpark is it's probably going to be upwards of 2 mil. In no way am I going over 3.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna say, like what Anthony said. I say give him. It'll probably cost 1.5 to 2 million per year.
So the Quaintance one was 1.5. I believe it was 1.5 for. I think it was 3, but it was 1.5 a year. It was for 2 years. It was a 2-year, whatever the money was. I don't recall. I was in Orlando that week, but it was a 2-year deal worth a lot of money, and people were like, "Heck no." Sam, what would you? You're the penny pincher of the group. What would you give Tyron Stokes to come to Louisville if you were in charge of the financials?
Listen, anything over for a high school kid, number one or whatever, anything over 2 million is a no go for me. Especially if you quote from the city. I don't feel like I should have to pay you more. I think you should take the hometown discount. So
this is the Spurs.
This ain't Kmart. Sam.
I know, I understand that, but I'm just like, if you, I mean, I don't know the young man. I don't know his family. I'm just saying, I don't. Like Dalton said, everything that goes up must come down, and we're gonna reset at some point in time, because this is all subjective. Some people might think he might be worth, like Wes said, 8 million or 10. Someone may think that someone's worth that much money, and there's no way in God's green earth you could tell me that high school players, freshmen in college, that should be making more than NBA players.
Yeah, that's. I
Honestly,
mean, you're seeing some silly numbers, and I don't think anybody
yeah,
would disagree with you hearing some of these numbers that are thrown out. Even guys, I mean, like I heard over the offseason, not to go too far off track, I heard over the offseason from people that in the know at other schools, and I'm hearing these numbers being thrown out for guys that played 5 minutes a night, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
We definitely
It's
were
getting
all in
out
the
of
wrong
control,
profession.
but unfortunately, it's not something that's going to be able to be corrected until the market recorrects itself. I'm all for, guys, getting out there and profiting off of
Yes,
leading a team
100%.
to a good amount of success and making that team a whole lot of money. But at some point, like, I mean, these guys are at what point is it? And not to mention, you saw the news today where the NCAA is trying to forego the national letter of intent and give a player 5 years of eligibility while keeping their red shirt intact. Did y'all see that?
I did not.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean we're getting to the point to where something's got to give. Like there's got to be some type of legislation here because eventually it's just going to turn into free agency.
yeah, because you could
There's
spend
just
5 years, technically 6 years of college, get NIL for all 6 years, come away
yeah,
with a free education, a degree, and now you set for maybe life or the next half of your life without even having to work for real
yeah.
once you graduate. And
Honestly, but the thing I said was Stokes, give him that 1.5 to 2 million per year for 2 years, and then let him like talk to everybody else because that's not even going to be half of what he gets from.
no, because he could earn more once he gets here
Yeah,
based on his
Absolutely.
all the
performance.
other deals he could get out of
Yeah.
this world because everybody's gonna want to give him a deal. Being the hometown kid, he's gonna make a lot of money.
saying what you
Absolutely.
said about being a hometown hero. I
No,
think it really all depends on the hometown discount effect. Like if you get close in money, but you don't have to be the top bidder, it all really would depend internally. Does he want to come back and be like the face of this program in a city that the program basically runs when it's at its full capacity? So it's all a matter of him. I mean, everyone's different because there has been a trend of like the most elite players from Louisville for one reason or the other. Russell, not here. That's a whole different story.
yeah.
Rondo, not here for reasons not listed. I mean, it's just like you haven't seen an elite prospect from me. You've seen really good prospects. You haven't seen a top 10 player from the city of Louisville stay in Louisville in quite some time.
Oh, I would say DeJuan Wheat and Jason Osborne probably were the last ones.
Exactly.
And that's even at a time where Derek Anderson, the year before they come to Louisville, was like, no, I'd rather go to Kentucky. No, I'd rather go to Ohio. His final three was Kentucky, Ohio State, and Louisville. And he managed to play for every school but us on that list. So, yeah, there's definitely got to be something to that. Garrett said the thing is, unlike other sports, one player in basketball can absolutely change a team from a
Yes.
level 5 to a 10. I agree with that. Babu says, I think now in the NIL age, you go after the top 15 top guys, and if you get 2, then it affects portal money. But if you miss them, that money goes to the next 2 guys. That's a great point. That's a good point. Chad Brocky says 5-star high school players are getting paid way more than top transfers. That's another trend I expect to continue too, because as you say, you could stay in college longer and make NIL money. What a lot of people don't realize is that these guys that go overseas to play, they're not going overseas to play for big money. They're going overseas to try to make it back to the pros, and a lot of them don't make it to I say the pros, I mean the NBA. A lot of them don't make that, so they're going to make a lot more instead of these guys having to play 4 years of college and then going overseas for 10 years. They can go to 6 years of college and never have to make the same amount of money, if not more, and never have to go through. I've got a lot of friends that played overseas that thought that was almost like a death sentence. None of their family was around, limited interaction. If they had a girl at home, they didn't have one by the time they left overseas. Giggity. Just a lot of things I think it's going to, even with college football, you've got guy. There was a guy yesterday that I was watching a game. The dude was in his 9th season of college football. Imagine if all 9 are NIL filled. He at that point, and he decent player, not great player, but he during 9 years at a college, now during NIL, you will surpass the same amount of money that you would have made if you'd have played in college 4 years and then went to the league because a lot of the people that go to the league don't stay there that long either, unless you are just a standout player. So I think this is going to change the thought process for a lot of players across the board. Anthony Easton, last but not least, this is a place where you can come in, produce, and your NIL will go up.
Yep.
1,000%. And here's what I will add on to that. One thing that we had with the which we're not saying that name anymore on the show, but with the previous regime in men's basketball, is that you had a lot of guys that come in that we could have got, but the prior coach didn't want to do that. Didn't want to. He actually, one of the few things I agreed with Coach Bleep about was he didn't want to give you your NIL money up front. He wanted you to come in, earn it, and then he would give you the bag. Anthony understands. We all understand that. Anthony understands that the players are just built a little bit differently these days. They want to, some of them, not all, want it handed to them. They don't want to have to necessarily work for it. Rapid fire, really quick. Charity Looper, help. I can't hear.
I said that's genuinely how it goes. You work and then you get paid. Is even when you get drafted to the NFL, you get drafted because of your body of work in college. So you get a little bit of money, but that second contract is basically what you did and what they predict you to make. So
yeah, it's a results-oriented business.
Yes.
Charity Looper helped the number 6 Louisville volleyball team to a massive win over number 3 Wisconsin with 11 kills, earning AVCA first serve all-star team honors. The Cardinals do take on number 15 Tennessee today at 4 p.m. at the KFC Yum Center. Which Higgy misspelled half the words in this. Other AVCA first serve all-stars included best outside hitter Charity Looper, best libero Alina Scott. That game was absolutely electric. I expect nothing less. Every time that Louisville and Tennessee play in volleyball, whether it's at the smaller venue, L&N Stadium, or it's at the Yum Center, it's a great time. I've seen them play both places. Number 15 men's soccer won over Tulsa 2-1. They host Bellarmine Monday night at 7 p.m. Cards women's soccer also won 2-1 over Northern Kentucky, and then tied with Cincinnati 1-1 in their matches this week. They host Evansville tonight at 7 p.m. Field hockey checks in at number 7 in the preseason top 25. And as I believe Dalton mentioned earlier, this was in the rapid fire, so I'm still going to read it because Higgy worked really hard to spell 4 words correctly this week. 2026 5-star number 1 player Tyran Stokes in Louisville. Okay, gosh, dang it, Higgy. Number 1 player and hometown native Tyran Stokes is how it should have been worded, has locked in an official visit for October the 3rd through October the 5th for Louisville Live. Guys, make sure as well as supporting the show like you do, which we appreciate, make sure you also support the photographers. Jeff Nunn with the fire photo gallery from yesterday, just published on the website about an hour ago. We're going to tweet that out after the show. Apparently Sean's too busy to help out with website stuff today. Got to give him a little crap. Jeff Nunn, TJ Barr, Justin Kruger. Amazing. We have an amazing photography team here. Justin does our baseball. TJ does our football and women's basketball, and then Jeff does football. Great staff here. Shout out again one more time to all of our fine sponsors: Fitness Market, 4 Pegs, Collision Course Crew, Cherry Pick and Shoot 360, Mossy Oak, Planet Fitness, and Rally House. If you would like to sponsor the show, in the bottom left-hand corner, it shows you an email where you can get in touch with me. We can talk about sponsorship opportunities. Always more than happy to help somebody show their product to great people. I'm always, as I was talking with the Rally House people, they were like, well, do you just accept everybody? I'm like, no, we don't just accept it wasn't worded like that, but I was like, no, we have to believe in you all like you all believe in us. So great people we've been lucky enough to be paired up with. If you want to pair up with us, let us know. You can find this show on YouTube, on social media, on your Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We're on Twitch for some reason. I don't know why Sean set it up, but we're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook, and we're on X. No, we're on Twitter. I'm never going to call it X. Make sure you tune in to us every week. Make sure. So the Sunday shows, I talk about this a little bit later in the show, but I'll go ahead and talk about it right now. Friday nights at 10:05, Sundays at 1 p.m. On the bye week, schedules are going to change. We'll only have the Sunday shows on that week, or Saturday or Sunday. Not sure which day we're going to do it on the bye weeks during the football season. And on the BC week, we'll go Thursday night because we play them Friday night, and we don't want to be on the same time they are. So just stay tuned to the Cardinal Sports Zone social media. We'll let you know if there are any changes, when we're going to go on. If you're subscribed to us on social media, you get a little notification every time we go live anyway, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. You can find the audio version of the podcast on over 125 podcast avenues: Apple, iTunes, Buzzsprout, Spotify, TuneIn, Google, Amazon. Hit subscribe, like, heart, whatever it is. Hit those buttons, and you will get the episodes automatically sent to you as they come out. If you haven't listened to all the prior episodes of the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, go back, check them all out. Go to cardinalsportszone.com, the place it all began. Hit the podcast drop-down menu. Hit CSZ Podcast. There's some other old stuff on there, but it's under a different menu name. I think Live with 55 is what it's under, but that's all of our old stuff. So check those out too. We also have exclusives you can check out on cardinalsportszone.com. We have some of the best feature writers in the country. In my opinion, I know you're going to think that's hyperbole, but it's the truth. Dalton and Sean are two of the best writers. Not any slack to any of the other writers that are our website, but like those two are just magicians with words, and I appreciate their hard work for us. Shout out to everybody who's out there sharing the podcast. We appreciate you. Love you all the most. Shout out to our friends Marcus Maben and Steve Rummage doing the Lord's work 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on ESPN 93.9 The Ville. Shout out to our friends at the 502 Circle. Mark and Dan, great people. And once again, you can give a one-time donation. You can give a monthly donation. But everything you give helps. I saw my donation come out about an hour before the game started yesterday. And then to see the game play the way it made me kind of want to up my donation a little bit. So if you're able to do that, that's fine. If you're not able, just support the team. They love that anyway. Either way you do it, stay tuned to our social media and subscribe to us on YouTube to be alerted anytime we go live. You'll also be alerted on Facebook, but as we said earlier, we prefer you to watch us on YouTube instead. If y'all want us to shout anybody out during the Sunday shows, go to our Twitter, Card Sport Zone. Tweet us your shout outs and include the hashtag CSZ shout out. Something new we're trying. Social media wise, Sam, where can they find you on the social media?
Baseboy124.
Dalton?
Defense _
And Wes?
West Keys _CSZ.
Absolutely. Let's get to the chat line to close that up really, really quickly. Anthony, this is a place where we already said that one, especially if the fans love you. If everything goes according to plan, the Miami game might be one of the bigger home games we've had in a long time. I don't disagree. Master Yoda wants us to play the outro. We're not quite there yet, but we will play that fire outro in a moment, my brother. You can find me at Jeremy _CSZ, which I clearly forgot to say, which is fine. Last words, we appreciate your guys' support this past week. This is our 4th show in 7 days. If you haven't listened to them, they're all up on YouTube, but we absolutely appreciate the love and support. Dalton, we have been meaning to mention something, and I don't know where you're at in the process of doing this, but we had an idea about a separate show that you were going to do, maybe on Saturdays. If you're ready to give out the details, you can. If you're not, we'll just keep it under wraps for a little bit longer. But can you kind of tell the people what it was, what the new idea for the show is?
Yeah, so I don't have a name for it yet, but I plan on having the first show air sometime probably on either Thursday or Friday. It's basically going to be like an around the league type mentality. So basically it's a full scope on the ACC as a whole. It's going to sort of cover not only the conference, but the country at large in terms of how it relates to Louisville, how it relates to them getting to the ACC championship game, how it relates to possible playoff implications, and much, much more. It's just going to be more of a generalized scope, as these shows that we have already are very Louisville-centric, like very Louisville-focused. This isn't going to be more so as much about Louisville as it is about everyone else and how Louisville can get back to Charlotte, how they can make the first 12-team playoff, and much, much more. So still focusing on a name, trying to get that worked out, but that is a show that the plan is to air that first episode at some point this week.
What about ACC Full Scope or ACC Passport or Around the Horn? No, I'm just kidding. Look, we're going to get that. Are you going to have anybody? I know we had talked about maybe you teaming up with somebody to do it, or is this going to be a solo venture?
I'd rather it not be a solo venture. I already do too much of that as it is. I'd like to have a little bit of a host. I would like to have Sam on a good amount. I see you pointing. He's on the list of.
I was pointing to Sam because he's not looking at the camera. He's just looking down at whoever is over at his house right now. Pause. So y'all get me in trouble. I'm trying to tweet out the photo gallery. So I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
But no, yeah, there's gonna be it's probably gonna be a thing where it alternates guests, unless I find somebody that I'd like to do it full time with, or that would be willing to do it full time. So we'll see. It's sort of still in the brainstorming part of getting this together, but we'll get things going pretty shortly.
I love the idea. I thought that was a great. Again, I'm trying to get this photo gallery keyed up to post and stuff. Thought it was a great idea when we talked about it. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait for us to have some content that I don't have to be a part of. I mean that in the most respectful way. Obviously, guys like, and Wes, I'm gonna not include you in this because you've not been around as long. So this isn't a diss. This is just heartfelt sentiment, man. I did not ask Wes and Sam to be a part of this podcast because I thought they had horrible takes, or I guess I can include you in that because I didn't ask you to come help out because I thought you were the best of the worst. I offered you all a spot on this show for a reason. It's because I appreciate and respect your all's thoughts and stuff like that. So it'll be kind of nice for me to be able to turn on a show and not have to worry about, am I producing it? Am I hosting it? I'll still come on if you need me to. I've also got to, once we get into the planning stages of the show, I know a couple of people around the league. Like if you want to do a thing where you talk to different members of the different opponents and stuff like that. We did what was that, Sam, what was that called that we did a couple of years ago? Game day.
I'm drawing a blank, but I know what you're talking about because we had people come on and talk with us.
Every week we had whoever
I don't think we came up with a name for it though.
No, I look, I'm about to find it while we wrap up because I do know that we did have a name for it because I even had a graphic for it made up. Game day prep is what it was called. I knew I would remember it. It was weird because we prepared for the game day. But whatever we end up the concept being, Dalton knows he's got a team of people here that's going to help him out, or not help him out, help support him. And it's going to be a great thing. We love giving you all content. Hoped to put out more content during the summer. Had a couple people that had ideas, but never wanted to see them through to fruition. Like Higgy was going to do something, and of course, Higgy probably just misspelled his name and didn't go any further than that.
I'm still waiting for the Higgy and Dalton show.
Well, that makes one of us. Sean was going to do like a dating
show.
show.
Was that going to be a show?
I don't know. He talked about it. He said you and him were going to do something.
Oh, it's probably the Twitter Spaces.
Oh, okay. I might have misspoke. My fault.
Listen, Sam,
I was caught off guard. I was like,
you really did look like, wait, what?
Me?
Okay. You know what? I think he did mention Twitter. So that's what it was. My fault.
Gotcha. Well, and then Sean we were going to do like a dating show for Sean, but my health was really piss poor during the summer. So I apologize for not getting to see a lot of that through, but we're going to bring you more and more. If y'all have any ideas for stuff you want to see us do, we have to get like a competitive eater to join the pod, or maybe one of our podcast group is a competitive eater. I want to start doing like some of I've been watching a lot. Don't ask me why, but in my off time, I've been watching some of the food challenge videos. And I'm like, if this little dude can do it, somebody's got to be able to do it.
We need to do the ones that have teams in it, like where you can have a partner, because relying on one person, man, I know Joey could eat food, But
Joey's good. Sean's nephew could probably complete the challenges. He's full of energy, and he always eats it. Like, we fixed a full tailgate spread yesterday for the game. Most of the people, me and Teresa and Sean didn't really eat a whole bunch. He ate whatever was left over. So I think he could probably do it. But point being, if we could do stuff like competitive, I know that sounds very vanilla to some people, but I like to do like a food challenge show. Maybe we can get Garrett on the show and do a segment with him where he makes your favorite tailgate foods. Maybe we can do something like, who knows? We'll talk about that later. Point being, we appreciate all y'all's love, all your support. Stay tuned. Going to be way more content coming. We'll see you all Friday night at 10:05. Again, the heads up on the bye week schedules. We'll only have the Sunday shows that week during the football season, unless something's happened, and then we'll bring you a show Friday night. By that point, I believe basketball will be getting ready to start back up by the second bye. I know the first bye week it won't be. Maybe the second bye week we'll be able to have a show that Friday night. But we had a lot of people tune in on Friday night, so I'm glad that 10:05 time slot worked. Let's see. Dalton just gave you the puppy tilted side-headed look. He did. That was Dalton and Higgy does not. Those are not two words.
Listen here, bucko.
That normally go. They just don't normally go in the same sentence unless you listen to our fire intro song. By the way, B-Sim, thank you so much. I still had people come up to. We went to the. I hate the fair. Hate it. Went to the fair with Teresa because she loves it. And I had so many people walk up and like, man, that intro song is amazing. And shout out to our normal listeners. They always say the same thing too. But Gibby, man, he added the same level of video that we had with the audio. And man, we appreciate him so much. Everything he has done to make one of the best intro videos. Show me an intro video for any sport. You know, I'm gonna get real cocky with this. Any sport in the country, an intro that matches ours or goes above it, I don't think you can.
I got one.
Okay, I knew Pawpaw would have one. What you got, Sam?
The old school 1996 Bulls intro.
Okay, how do you kick him out of here? I said in shows today. Not
No,
shows.
you said intro.
Show me an intro that matches ours. That's not an intro.
Sam was waiting on that. He's like Wes. He had that waiting from last night. He's like, yeah, I'm about to name drop the 1996 Chicago Bulls with zero remorse.
Zero. I can't stand them. Thanks, Pawpaw. Anyway, again, thank you all again for the support. We love you all. Until next time, this has been the Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast. Thank you all for listening. See y'all Friday at 10:05. Yeet. Yoda said, go fly a kite, Sam.